Hi, Pastor Brian.
Well, hello. How are you?
Good. What's going on?
You know what? We are in our last week of the Easter season.
We are, and you get to wrap up the entire Easter season this coming Saturday
Wrap
and
it all
Sunday.
up in one Sunday.
Cover it all.
Yep. And then we're on to our very next season.
Yeah, Pentecost.
Comes 50 days.
Yep,
Yes,
and then 50, it
after
feels like
Easter.
50 weeks.
Then the 50 weeks of Pentecost.
Pentecost, yes.
Yes.
And then it's, then it's Advent. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, you drop in Reformation Sunday. Yeah, you drop in All Saints. But it's the Sundays after Pentecost from here till December,
Yeah.
So.
It's true. Yeah, you get to the fall and we change the paraments a couple of times,
Yeah.
but yeah,
But not a whole lot.
not a whole lot. It's still
green.
weeks
We're
after
moving
Pentecost.
towards green in 2 weeks, and
Yeah.
we're just green.
And then straight on till morning.
Yep. Very Peter Pan of you.
You like that?
Thought you'd pass that one by me, huh? my favorite line in all of Peter Pan.
Oh, well,
Since you brought it up,
since I brought it up, I'm trying to think of what your favorite line might be.
it's
know.
actually very obscure. It's the point where Peter Pan is trying to rescue his friend the princess, and he imitates Captain Cook. And he
I have
says,
no idea.
And he
Apparently,
said-
I don't know Peter Pan
Clearly you don't.
whatsoever.
"Release Tiger Lily."
Wow.
Yeah, that's one of
Wow.
my favorite lines in the whole movie. It's very obscure. That's my
Yeah,
life. I'm Mr. Obscure. And I also
Gosh.
like when they're mean to the dog back on Earth, and they say, "Poor Nana." Nana's the dog.
Okay. I think I can.
See, I think you got to go
I think,
back.
I
You
think
got to
I
go
could.
back
I
and
think I
rewatch
could buy.
Peter
I
Pan.
believe that part's in
Yeah,
there.
you gotta. Yeah, and then the father, who's the same voice as Captain Cook, if you didn't notice that, is "Poor Nana." That's the line. So you gotta rent Peter Pan, man.
Peter Pan,
You gotta
huh?
rent it. You gotta watch it, man. You can miss all the good
Gosh.
stuff in there.
All this good stuff. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's absolutely
That
incredible.
is the kindest thing you've said to me all week.
It is, isn't
You
it?
just let it all go and just say, "That's incredible."
That's
So,
incredible.
However, on a different note, I did watch a few weeks back
Mm-hmm.
a movie, really a historical drama about the Nuremberg trials.
Oh, very different than Peter Pan.
Yeah, it was not rated G.
Yeah.
It was not a Disney production,
Okay.
but it was fascinating. So, historically, most of you know, but some of you may not, that some of the Nazis that were in high leadership positions were actually arrested after World War II, and they were put on trial in Nuremberg, Germany, and it was known as the Nuremberg trials. And it was an international court, not a German court, not an American court. It was an international court.
Okay.
And what was really fascinating in the movie, and then I did some more research, is they obviously had psychologists really talking to and interviewing these war criminals. People
Yeah,
like
okay.
gosh, now I'm drawing, but Hermann Goering and folks like that. I mean, really
Okay,
high level
okay.
folks. And this American serviceman who was also a psychologist, Douglas Kelly is his name, ended up writing a book after all of this was over. And basically his psychological assessment and conclusion was anybody, not just Germans, anybody could fall into perpetrating the same kind of evil as those guys.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because the conditions were right for only this type of person in Northern
I remember they
Europe.
thought that originally. Like there must be something about the people right here that made them susceptible to that.
Yes.
To that. But I mean, they found it was. I mean, they continue to do
Study, and
psychology
they say
testing
it can
on
happen
people.
to anybody.
People can do some really cruel stuff.
Yeah, and it's not a certain type of person.
No.
So, I mean, I think that speaks to a deeper theological issue of original sin and brokenness, that it's not just, well, it's those people or that group.
Right.
Everyone could fall into some terrible
And not just
stuff.
people at that time
At that
either. I mean,
time,
it's
right.
they've done current studies where they find people today. You
Yeah.
just kind of fall in line.
Yep. I was actually, speaking of that, I read a study
Yeah.
yesterday. I wasn't looking for this stuff, but a study back in the 70s. I mean, that's a few years ago, but they parked 2 beat up cars, one in an inner city neighborhood or borough of New York, and one in Palo Alto, California. Now, within an hour, the one in the borough of New York was stripped clean.
Okay.
Just everything was taken out of it, stripped clean, stolen, down to the frame, the end. The one in California, in Palo Alto, is pretty high rent.
Yeah.
It's where Stanford is. Didn't have any issues with it until somebody broke a window. And then once the window was broken, then the same thing happened to that car too. So the only difference was there was a catalyst for the car in California to be stripped down. Somebody broke a window, and then it felt like it was fair game.
Right.
And so even with a delayed reaction, it goes back to that point that humanity might have a tripwire, and after that can
Yeah.
get into some really bad stuff.
Yeah.
So just interesting sociologically.
Yeah,
but it also reminds us we're
yeah.
broken, right?
Right. Right. Some of those sociology studies, it's pretty interesting. What
There's some
Yeah.
theology connected to
Yeah.
that, even if they're
There
not
absolutely
connecting
is,
the
yeah.
theological things.
Yeah.
We got a special video today.
Okay.
We have one of our staff people who is not in town, but is traveling for work, not CLC related work, but other work. And he is in a very unique place today.
Okay.
And so I said, well, send me a video. I wanna share where you're at and what's going on. So this segment is titled, Where in the World is Robbie Wingfield?
Let's take a look.
Let's take a look.
Hello, CLC family. I'm coming to you from a water elevator. They call them locks on the Panama Canal. I am currently on the Volendam on their grand voyage. This is the tail end of it. I got on in Manzanillo, Mexico, and I will be disembarking in Fort Lauderdale to head back home to see you all. I'm out for another week. I'm with the Breton Thunder show that many of you may have seen our dress rehearsal a couple of weeks ago. Holland America has been renting our space for me to be able to rehearse the show that I wrote for them. And they fly the cast into Vegas and we rehearse, and then I came out here on the ship to install the show. Opening night is tomorrow, and just wanted to send you a quick update. It is unbelievably hot and bright, so I forgot my sunglasses, but I just wanted y'all to have a look. Kind of get another panoramic shot here. There's the beautiful and elegant Volendam. Out on the bow, they open it up special, like going through the canal like this. Normally you can't come out here just to wander around. But yeah, hope you're doing well. Look forward to seeing you when I'm back in worship on the 23rd and 24th. Hope you had a beautiful Mother's Day, and I'll just talk to you real soon. Take care.
Live from the Panama Canal. How
Live
about
from
that?
the Panama Canal.
And that's our first remote of any sort of interesting background, right?
It's
Panama
been a
Canal.
while since we've had any kind of remote.
Yeah, I mean last year
tune in.
occasionally I'll send
Right,
something
but
in.
it's been since last summer then.
Yeah, but not nearly as exciting as the Panama Canal.
The Panama Canal is hard to compete with.
Yeah. So
Yes.
So anyways, yeah, so that Breton Thunder show that he helped rehearse, he's the musical director of, and they said, well, if you're going to do the show, you got to go make sure it's, I guess the word is installed. It sounds like you're putting in a cartridge. It's installed correctly. So he's making sure that all of his music minions are doing what they're supposed to do, I suppose. So He
Yep.
gets off the boat in Florida because everybody's all set up, but then they keep going up the Atlantic coast.
The show continues.
Yeah, all the way up to Newfoundland. I mean, like that's where all this music is from. So they're just getting it ready for like that last leg. So, but Robbie doesn't have to play in it. He just needs to get it going. And he's installed properly.
Yes.
Nope, it's upside down. Let's try it.
Try it again.
Yeah, let's try it.
Yep. Right side up this time, everybody.
Install it, right?
Yes.
So, anyways, we wish Robbie well, but we know he'll be back here in another week. So,
Great.
Yeah. So, this past week, did a big deep dive, and sorry if it was too deep, on the atonement last weekend.
Yeah, we did. How about that?
Kind of-
I mean, and as you mentioned, there is so much to the Gospel of John, and it's hard when you're not going through it step by step to see,
Connect the dots.
connect the dots along the way. But John in particular, there's really a lot going on there.
John is the one gospel that you may think that it's about 10 feet deep, and then you get out there and it's 100 feet deep in terms of all the
Well, the
theological
thing is,
depth.
you can have some great stuff. I mean, John 3:16 is great just on its own.
Yeah.
You know, just like you don't have to dig too deep to find it. It's right there, and it has all the meaning you could ever want right there.
Yeah.
Right? But if you want to go deeper, I mean, there are all kinds of connections that
all the way through.
Yeah.
And so thinking about, I guess, without rehashing, the importance of clearing the decks of your life, of regrets, of brokenness, of bad character traits. The atonement, or Jesus' death and resurrection, allows you to clean all that stuff off so that he can draw close. In other words, it no longer becomes a barrier between God and us.
Right.
And John was like, I just don't want anybody to miss this, and that the foundation was laid all the way back at the time of Moses and Aaron of the meaning of why this is. And so I just felt like, oh my gosh, we got to talk about all
Let's
this
dive
stuff.
in.
And we're
Why
going to
not?
dive in.
Buckle up, everybody.
If we had seatbelts at church, we would have told everybody to put on their seatbelts because we're about to dive deep.
Yeah.
So, but we had a good time. But we want to revisit a song that talks about that and points to that, especially with Mary and Thomas. You know, don't touch me, okay, touch me. And what does that mean? And so we had a very special song at 3 of our services this past weekend. So let's go back and hear Sam Holder.
Shackled by a heavy burden, neath a load of guilt and shame, then the hand of Jesus touched me. my soul. Something had happened. Oh no, I know. Oh, he touched me and made me whole. Oh, he touched me and he made me whole.
Thank you, Philip.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Thank you, Sam Holder. I mean, wow, right?
They did a great job.
It's wild because we were talking about this today. We have a staff meeting. A week ago, I threw this song out as like, I don't know, maybe this would work with the sermon, and we kind of hemmed and hawed on it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
nobody said no, nobody said yes. We were just like, oh, okay, and then it solidified, and we were going to do this, and it was clear after the 3 services that was the right
It was.
song.
It was.
you
And
know.
Sam did a great job
Yeah,
stepping
we really
in and doing that.
appreciate that.
Mhm.
Tony wasn't feeling well, and we needed help, and Sam jumped right in. He's been out of town a lot.
Yeah, so for one, it was just great to see him because, he's been busy, and that happens.
But it also included a funeral on Saturday. I mean,
Yeah,
he,
he was-
jumped
he was here all weekend,
the way
yeah.
through, and so we deeply appreciate that. The interesting story to the song "He Touched Me." Bill Gaither,
Okay.
and he had written over 50 songs, and none of them had any popularity whatsoever. And then he touched me in 1963.
Is that right?
Yep. And here's the inspiration. Here's the story behind the story. This inspiration came one night after a revival meeting in Indiana, and he was with another singer by the name of Doug Oldham. And it was his father, Dr. Dale Oldham, who'd been the speaker at this revival meeting. And so Doug and Bill Gaither are riding home. They talked about how they felt the Spirit was moving in that evening. And as he was being dropped off, one of the parting words were, "You should write a song that says, 'He touched me,'" because they were talking about how touching this revival meeting was. And so Gaither went home or wherever he was staying that night, and he worked through the night and finished it and then revised it with his wife Gloria the next day. And first person to record it was that Doug Oldham, the son of the speaker, but then recorded by Elvis Presley. It never hurts to have one of your songs recorded by Elvis Presley.
No, but just the fact that Elvis, for him to notice it, and then obviously it impacted him too.
Yep. So he recorded it, and it was on his 1972 album with his gospel music. And I will tell you that from every story I've read about that, none of his producers or recording people wanted him to do a gospel album. None of them.
Yeah,
did
I think we've talked about
They
that
did
before.
not want
yeah.
like, you're going to do popular music. We'll make way more money. If you want to do that on your own, fine, but we're not. And he just put his foot down and he said, "I'm not going to record another album until we do a gospel album." And so he
Wow.
does this gospel album, and it sold 1 million copies. It won a Grammy, and and so take that, record producers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, but it was also his lifelong love of gospel music while he did that album, and also Gaither music as well. So, even with as much, well, I wouldn't say much, the troubled life that Elvis had later in life, and his growing up wasn't easy either.
Yeah.
There is still something there in his faith. And there's lots of folks who have a very hard life and a troubled life, but there is that little flame of faith. And I have no doubt that because of things like this, expressing his faith, that maybe one day we'll all get to be around Elvis Presley too up in heaven. So,
Yeah.
but just wonderful. So
Yep.
I was thinking about this song, and I'm going to pick some. I've done this a couple of times. Pick some of the lyrics and point it to a Bible verse. The song opens up, "Shackled with a heavy burden, neath a load of guilt and shame." And there are people who carry the burdens of their past with them. They can't let go of something they did, or something they didn't do, or something somebody else did, but it brings them guilt and shame. And they just can't move off of it. It's like playing like a movie in their head.
For sure. I mean, I think that happens to so many people where,
Yep.
where you're carrying that stuff.
And in Romans 8, which is a counter to that, Paul writes, he says, there is therefore no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. And so, if Christ is saying, I'm not holding anything against you as a Christian, you should not hold anything against yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you got to let stuff go. And it reminds me of a story that I would tell people every so often when they were holding on to stuff. And the story goes is that there were two monks. It doesn't matter if they were Christian or Buddhist or whatever, but there were two monks.
Okay.
And they were on the road. And they had to cross a riverbed that wasn't overly deep, but deep enough. And when they get to the banks and they see this and there's no bridge, they also discover a woman who was also there at the riverbank not knowing how to cross. Well, there was an elder monk and kind of an apprentice monk, and the elder monk told this woman, climb on my shoulders and I will walk you across and you will stay dry and safe. So the woman agrees. The elder monk puts this woman on his shoulders. The apprentice monk follows along. And when they get to the other side, he lets her off his shoulders, and she thanks them and goes on her way. And as these two monks are walking, finally the younger monk is so worked up about something, he finally says something to his master. He's the apprentice.
Yeah.
And he says, Master, I just have to ask you, why would you do something so undignified and something that is questionable? If anybody ever saw it, of having a woman on your shoulders crossing the river. And the master said this, I let that woman off at the river. Why are you still carrying her with you?
Okay. Yes. So I've heard
Have
that
you
one.
heard that
and
story?
I have heard it before, but
Yeah.
I didn't. I totally had forgotten the ending until, you just mentioned
And
it.
I have
Yeah.
told people that story to say, there are some things you need to let go of. Don't carry that with you. Don't carry that woman with you. You let her go. She left back at the river, right? And so I think it's great wisdom. And
Yeah.
regardless of anyone's faith, there's just things you need to let go of, right? But specifically as Christians, one of the things that we got to be reminded of, if Jesus isn't holding anything against us as children of the faith, then why should you hold things against yourself?
Love that.
Right?
Yeah.
And I know it's hard. It is hard to let things go, but sometimes just changing the subject in your mind allows you to move forward. If you're like playing the movie, you got to change the movie. You got to start thinking about something else, maybe even an activity, just to clear your head. So that's the first one. Second one, another line in the song, then the hand of Jesus touched me. So the very kind of the heart of the song is he touched me. Yes, the hand of Jesus touched me. And I think that this story, or I'm just going to read a verse of it, but we'll tell the story, really gets to the heart of who Jesus is willing to accept, welcome, care for. And we see this really at the very beginning of the Gospel of Mark in chapter 1.
Mark chapter 1. So this is right off the bat. Kind of
Yep.
Jesus comes in and just starts making his way to all kinds of different people.
Yep.
And in verse 40, person with leprosy comes up and says, if you are willing, you can make me clean. Jesus reached out his hand, touched him, and says, I am willing.
There it is. That's it, right? And remember, I mean, you think to yourself, back then, if you were a leper, you had to be 10 feet away from everybody. You had to live
probably
outside of
call
town,
out unclean if you were around
if you were
other people.
heading somewhere to get something and had to. And this man, and we presume, maybe it's a woman, knows who Jesus is by reputation and says, if you're willing, you can make me you know. And the crazy thing is Jesus says, I am willing, and then touches them, which everybody would have gasped. You know,
Yeah.
you don't touch a leper, right? You
Right.
just-
Right.
that is just not what you do, because you could get what they have. Jesus is willing to touch the untouchable.
Yeah.
And I think that is such a huge thing to remind us that there is nobody that is beyond the reach and the care of Jesus. And even when you disqualify yourself, that is not enough to keep Jesus away.
Right.
You know, and I'm, you know, go back to connecting, you know, what I was talking about on Sunday is, you know, if we follow John's logic that Jesus was in the middle of completing the atonement process as laid out by Yom Kippur, Leviticus 16, Jesus still stopped and made time to touch Mary's heart, although not physically touch.
Yeah.
Jesus makes time to touch folks who are struggling. But I do love that line. I am willing, you know, not
Yeah. Jesus that Jesus makes time. I'm willing.
I'm willing. And he doesn't say to one of the disciples, okay, now give me a 10-foot pole. Like, he doesn't do that.
Right.
He just,
Right.
it's like, here I am, and brings healing. And I think there's that thing in our life that we just need to be open to the tenderness, the care of Jesus. That sometimes in having a mental block, we shut that down. We think it's for somebody else, or I'm too far gone, or I've never experienced that before, so therefore it can't happen. You know, very Thomas-like. You know, it doesn't compute for me, so it can't happen. Open yourself up to the Spirit of Jesus, that if you need something, he is willing and able and wants to bring change to your life. The way he brought change to that leper's life. Now, how about this for another one for you? Something happened, and now I know he touched me, and he made me whole. Once again from the song. 2 Corinthians chapter 5. If anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The new has come, and the old has gone. And, you know, so if you want to talk about being made whole, being in Christ, that is being a person of faith. And I guess, you know, to me, you know, obviously it's all grace, right? I mean, it's to be made whole is something we can't do on our own. But at the same time, we have to make ourselves available to that. We can't do it, but we could also push it away.
And we do.
We do, right?
That's why it's not all done in a moment, right?
That's
I mean,
right.
if some churches have that, where they, you know, you go up to the altar and I've made that choice and I'm complete now.
I'm done, right?
Being made whole, learning to experience grace. I mean, it's a daily practice.
It's a process.
Yeah, it's not like I'm ever doing anything, but it is step by step. I'm opening my heart to something.
And as you said that, it just occurred to me, like talking about church styles that are different. And I'm not going to say one's wrong, one's right, but I definitely think, you know, being Lutheran, you know, that we live in the gray, we wrestle with things, we struggle, and we acknowledge that, and eventually come out on, you know, on the other side. But definitely, it just made me think, we are journey people. We're on the journey.
Yeah.
There are churches that are all about the destination.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's just destination. And I'm not going to criticize it. But we're definitely the journey people. We're in the middle of something, you know, we're trying to make our way. We know there's an end site, but we also have to be in the journey.
Yeah.
And let things unfold as they can, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know, I mean, I'm an instant gratification guy. I'd like
I think that's helpful for everybody to see
Right?
it immediately. Those results show up right there.
right? I want it done yesterday, you know. Drive-through isn't fast enough. They need to make a faster microwave, you know. I just, you know, we gotta keep things moving here. And I'm guilty of that. But then when I stop and slow down, it is about the journey, and not trying to rush ahead and finish things, and taking that step, and journeying with God, journeying with each other, and letting things happen. And that's where those big aha moments come, is in that journey.
Yeah.
And not in, well, I just got to get this thing done. And you know, one of the great examples of that is Jacob. You know, Jacob is, well, he's a terrible human being. Just say it. I mean, if there's redemption for that guy, then you're fine, right? You all are just fine people.
Yeah.
But he keeps messing up, and sometimes very intentionally, choosing willfully, and not like Ziggy the cartoon character. Like Jacob is very
He kind of earns some of
Earns some of it.
the mess that he's in, you know.
And that whole moment is he's heading back to the promised land after cheating his father-in-law, by the way. He
Yeah.
ends up wrestling with God or an angel, but, you know, wrestling with God by the river Jabbok that separates the promised land from where he's coming from. And to me, that's the journey, is sometimes we're going to wrestle with God. Sometimes we're going to wrestle with ourselves. But yet somehow at the end of it, you know, and this is what happened to Jacob, there's blessing in that, in dealing with things and making that journey and taking a step. So, you know, don't wish life away, and don't ignore the help that could be yours today. Jonah talked about that, you know, while he's in the belly of the fish, you know.
Yeah.
Why do we turn away when blessing could be ours today? And be open to that touching spiritually, emotionally, and sometimes even physically, to be moved into a new place, and then know that you're never alone when you're walking the path.
That's
Yeah.
it right there.
So we're glad that you've joined us today. Don't forget tomorrow, if you're a going out to eat person, there's that Red Robin fundraiser for the youth group.
It'd be great to see
tomorrow
you there.
at the Red Robin at the Galleria Mall, inside the Galleria Mall, down there at the east end of the mall.
Yep. Okay.
So I just want to remind people of that.
You know right where it's at. I was going to wander around till I found it. So
Parked down at the opposite side, down by the Macy's side.
Macy's side.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go look for that.
And before you get that, there's a mall entrance. Don't go into Macy's. Go to the mall entrance down on that side, facing Sunset Station, so on the south side.
Okay.
That's where it was the last time I went there 20 years ago. I'm assuming it's still in the same place.
It's still right there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Haven't been there since, but
Yes.
that's what I remember.
And make sure when you get there, tell them CLC sent you,
Sent
so
you.
that you know that it goes back here. Yes.
That's right. And if you can't make it, please just DoorDash and ask for the discount. No, I'm kidding.
You can. Yeah. There's instructions on
Is
that
there
little
really?
flyer. Yeah.
Oh, my
you can
gosh.
you can
How about
order
that?
online.
Well, good. There we go. Anyways, we hope you have a great rest of your day. Stay cool out there. It's a little dangerous today in terms of heat, but we love you. God bless. And Philip, will you play us out?